And we're going to discuss, of course, the impacts that we're expected to start seeing as early as this evening. And then we're in it for the long haul. Once it starts, it's all the way through Sunday. So we're going to be here with you. We're working 12-hour shifts back to back. So there's constantly going to be somebody here watching the weather, keeping you all informed. And that is our commitment to you as your news source. All right, so not much has changed. That is the good news, right? We're starting to kind of get in on those details. Oh, let me go ahead and throw in this there. I route in the right source for you, maybe. Let's see. There we go, max 2. You got it. All right, so winter storm and cold, you can see Saturday evening through Tuesday morning is still the timing on that. We're looking at icy travel. Power outages are to be expected for several of us, especially across the southern tier of our viewing area. And it's going to be 5 degrees Tuesday morning. That is very serious because if we lose power, it's going to be really hard to keep yourself warm as we start to fall to those Arctic levels. So very, very cold air. Wind chills could be even colder than that, below 0. You want to have supplies the last few days. Your time is running out. It is 12 o'clock right now. You have maybe 3 hours or so, maybe 4. Before you want to be home all snuggled, nice and warm in your beds or your warming center in the center of your house and hunker down for the storm. All right, as always, we still have our text line up on here, so you can text us questions, 336-379-5775, 336-379-5775. There's a look at Boone, North Carolina. It is definitely blustery out there. Can you tell the temperature has dropped? Walking outside, it's like, oh, my face, it hurts. So you definitely need the proper protection for cold already. And then we're just not really going to be warming up through this storm very much at all. So be prepared for cold, and then it's precipitating, whether it's sleet, whether it's freezing rain, whether it's the little brief burst of snow that we could expect early on. There's our storm system. It is continuing to work its way eastward towards us here in the Carolinas. You can see the purple there in parts of Middle Tennessee, maybe getting a good burst of snow. And then you can see where the sleet line is and where the freezing line is south of that. And then further south, of course, you get out of the cold air completely, all warm air, and we take over with rain. So here in the Carolinas, not a whole lot going on right now. If you see those radar returns, that's going to be in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Still pretty dry. We have to kind of get rid of that dry air, so to speak, before we can start seeing some of that reach the ground, which I know many of you want to, especially for the kids. I want them to be able to enjoy some snow and not have to just deal with, a sleet storm or an ice storm. Those aren't so much fun. Here's your winter weather alerts. All right, we got the pink all over us here. Winter storm warnings. Those remain in effect through Monday afternoon. Charlotte there, and really kind of the upstate of South Carolina dealing with the ice storm warnings. That's what that other color of pink or purple, whatever you wish to see it as. Ice storm warnings, even ice storm warnings south there into the Smokies. Winter weather advisories into the mountains of northeast Tennessee, and then up through southwest Virginia, Kentucky. You can see all the winter storm warnings there. Everybody, for the most part, seeing a mixed bag of precipitation. Not as great of impacts expected along coastal Carolinas, hence why you see the winter weather advisories there versus the winter storm warnings. All right, and you can see those ice storm warnings extend all the way back towards the Dallas-Houston area, eastern Texas, the hill country of Texas. So not much has changed. Again, that's good things. More sleet than snow. Okay, so we've been talking to you about that. It's going to be more sleet. It's going to be an ice storm and sleet storm, not so much snow. So don't call it a snowstorm. It's a winter storm. It'll change quickly to sleet as we go through this evening. That warm air is going to punch in fairly aggressively now. How quickly does it eventually take over a deep enough column that we start to see that transition over to freezing rain? Well, that remains to be seen, and that's some of the things we're still working on detail and forecast-wise for you. So we're still looking at potentially a major ice threat for the southern half of our viewing area. Alamance County is included in that, as well as all of Randolph County and most of Davidson County. Davies County maybe looking at a little bit more sleet, but they're predominantly supposed to get ice But I still think they could get sleet, so it's interesting because they're under an ice storm warning with the Greenville-Spartanburg office, and then we are under a winter storm warning with the Raleigh office just because we're going to see a mixed bag of precipitation. It's not going to be completely ice, so it's not a complete ice storm warning. But that is going to be by far the greatest risk as we go through today. So we're talking freezing rain risk there, especially south of Guilford County and Davidson County, some of those areas that we talked about just a bit ago, right? Looking at that precip type. That is a ½ inch of ice, and that is crippling. For most of us, it's still going to be a significant ice storm. We're talking a 1/4 inch, maybe to a ½ an inch of ice. Now, we'll continue to watch the data as it comes in here, and we'll see if hopefully those trends go down and a little bit of sleet mess or maybe snow mess comes in earlier and we get a little bit more of that and less ice. That remains to be seen. So 1/10 of an inch, that's a headache. It's going to cause a glaze on all the roadways, slick bridges, overpasses, isolated power outages possible. You get up to a 1/4 inch, which most of us are expecting. You're talking icy roads, dangerous travel. Tree limbs will be sagging and breaking. Numerous power outages could be possible. And then, we're just talking a catastrophic ice storm when you get to ½ an inch of ice. Dangerous travel. I would say travel, just you can't travel. Widespread tree damage. Long-term power outages will be possible. And again, with the dangerous cold coming in on the backside of this system, it's going to be something we need to take very seriously. And we've taken it seriously all week. Hopefully you have picked up the serious tone in our voices. We're not so fun and happy. This is very serious. And so you need to be serious with us as well. All right, we'll still see a little bit of some sleet, right? And maybe some snow mixing in there. We have to get rid of the dry air first. So we're looking at maybe 1 to 3 inches of some sleet and maybe some snow mixing in there at times. 1 to 2 inches there of some of the snow and sleet there. So you can see as you basically head south, the chances of you getting anything sleet or snow starts to decrease rapidly as you just start building into the warm air. So that's not the good news there. Again, this is really important. We've been talking about these details because this is how it explains our system, right? If it's cold all the way through 10,000 feet, from the surface to 10,000 feet, you're going to get snow. However, when we start to sneak in warm air at about 5,000 feet, we're talking sleet. And it's going to be very mild for this storm up at about 5,000 feet. So keep that in mind. And so you get snowflake, it melts partially and then refreezes and becomes an ice pellet. It'll look like translucent ice pellets, like marbles falling from the sky. You'll hear it too. It makes it you'll hear it, I promise. When it starts sleeting tonight, you will know it's sleeting outside. And then freezing rain, we're talking a deep enough column of warm air that we melt all the snowflakes into rain. Rain falls into a freezing column of air right at the surface, and it starts to accumulate on everything. So that's kind of the big things there. Here's our future cast. So you can see, again, 6 o'clock, you really need to be in your place. Some of us won't even see a burst of snow. Some of us closer to the state line, Virginia state line. I hope that depth of cold air is underestimated, and some of us actually see a burst of snow before it just becomes sleet. But sleet will be the predominant precipitation type through the overnight hours. Could be moderate sleet at times. You can see those temperatures in the lower 20s. And then at some point Sunday morning, it keeps trending earlier and earlier with this model, which is not good news. We switch over to freezing rain / freezing drizzle, and that will be the rest of the time for the most part as we go through our Sunday. Just stay home on Sunday. That's going to be the best advice that we can give you. And then you can see into Monday here, temperatures warm just a smidge as we see an Arctic front push through, and that's going to basically encapsulate us into the very, very cold temperatures that we're expecting. And so here is a look at timeline here. Again, most of the day we're looking at dry weather most of the day, and then that snow burst and then sleet taking over for the predominant precip type tonight. It'll be difficult traveling. I can promise you that. With little marbles on the roadways, it's going to be slippery. And then Sunday, we're going to watch that sleet. Probably in the morning, it's looking like transition over to freezing rain, and we're going to see an ice storm possible for some folks, especially across the southern tier. And I think predominantly ice is the concern with this storm. So freezing rain will end Sunday night. Power outages start to pile up as we go towards the afternoon hours is how it kind of looks. Here's your planner for today. So again, your time is running out. You can see the slick roads will start as soon as we start seeing that burst of snow and sleet, and it will stick. Everything's frozen. If you can't tell, just go outside, and it's very, very, very cold outside. So sleet will continue through the overnight, and then we really don't need to be on the roads at all as we go into the evening hours, and then especially into the day tomorrow. So here's a look at those kind of the timeline for you. And so you can see the sleet there. Again, it'll change over to freezing rain sometime tomorrow morning. Sleeting for the most of the evening tonight. Hopefully get a little more snow than the models are thinking. That'll make people happy before we have to deal with the freezing rain. Dangerous travel expected Sunday morning through Monday morning, and maybe even longer. Power outages will start to pile up as we go towards the afternoon hours of our Sunday because of the icing. And so that's kind of what we have going on. Let's see if I can get to you all's questions. If they're up here, let's see. I think I have to pull it up. We are doing these updates every hour. So if I don't get to your question now, we can definitely get to those in the next hour update. And you can see there's our 7-day forecast. So we are talking very, very bitterly cold temperatures overnight. Look at that, 5 degrees Tuesday morning. Folks, that is no joke, especially with some of us maybe out without power, especially if we get up to that half-inch or maybe quarter-inch amount of freezing rain. We hope and pray we don't, but that's the way the models have trended, at least some of them. Some of them a little lower, so we definitely want to have more sleet and less freezing rain. And we're going to keep the cold weather around. I mean, your highest temperature is 35, 37. Ugh. And back into the teens as we go towards late next week. So we potentially could have some of this sleet, snow, freezing rain, slush on the roads for the whole week. We're just not going to warm up. Now, sunshine's going to help, and we will see sunshine, especially into our Monday, Tuesday. And, you know, for the rest of the week, we'll see times of sunshine, and sunshine's going to help melt that the fastest. But that's really the big issues, I would say. The big ticket items is be prepared for icing. Your time for getting ready for this storm is done, is almost over. I would say by about 6 o'clock, you need to be all nice and snug in your house or wherever you're seeking shelter from the storm, and then be prepared to stay there for multiple days. As, of course, icing could bring down trees, power lines, and that's all dangerous. We're going to be here with you through it all. And so you can trust your team. We're going to get you through it. We'll see you here in about another hour or so.